was so pretty. Welcome to today's little chit-chatty episode, inspired by Blue, who was having a conversation with me about how my studio used to look when I first started out, well before Blue actually even existed. Like, let's not go there. Okay, so I was just thinking maybe I would give you a rundown of the bare minimum that you should look at getting for a music studio. Obviously, you know what's going to come first, right? One of those bad boys. Not necessarily an iMac, but it's 2020, you're going to need some kind of computer. You could get a tape machine, but that is a whole another video that I will do when I will rebuild my tape machine for you. So we've got the computer. We also need the software, which, as you would remember if you've been here long enough, I use Logic. The reason I use Logic is because I swapped to Mac and that was about the only thing that I could afford. This one, as per the last couple of episodes, is running Logic Express 4, which is a totally obsolete piece of software, a cut down version of Big Logic, which basically got turned into or combined with GarageBand. So GarageBand was upgraded from like 4-track piece of shit to the amazing piece of free software it is that comes with your Mac. And Logic was also scaled up. So there's no in between. It's just GarageBand is fucking cool and Logic is fucking cooler and gives you a lot more stuff. So then I was also looking online to see what the alternatives were for the PC world, and a few bits of software that I have used and remember are also available for a really decent price, I think, for the basic version of $150 in Australian monies. But I think that is a good investment. If you already have a PC and you're just starting out, just grab like Fruity Loops or Ableton, or there was one that I don't know by Presonus, I think it was, like audio something, and that was about $150 as well. But I'm thinking by the look of those and what features they have, that you're probably better off getting something like that rather than trying to use Audacity. Audacity is free, so that's great, but I find Audacity really hard to use. It's not as intuitive and easy as some of these other workstations, so I would avoid Audacity. I use it for batch conversion. Well, not really batch conversion, I have to do it manually, but I use it to convert some files that I can't do anymore in my version of SoundForge because it needs to be updated. And anyway, that's redundant, let's move on. You will also need, Blue's just here for support as well, he just likes you guys. You will need one of these. This is a sound card. That particular sound card is the Scarlett 2i2, and the one that is running here, which is why I'm not going to be upgrading my iMac as I actually planned to do, this is the US144, and it actually has really good preamps in it. My plan when I reconnected the iMac was to upgrade everything and have 2 workstations and use this one, use the Scarlett, but then I remembered how great that particular sound card is, and I'm willing to kind of regress to Logic Express to be able to have that sound card capturing what I think is better audio, or what I know to be better audio. So I guess that's a little bit of a trade-off that might be unexpected for a lot of people, but it also, by not having all the stuff in Logic, it just makes me record a lot faster. So when you're looking for software and you think, oh, I would never get the cut down version or the light version or whatever the fuck they call it now of the software, Sarah's full of shit, like, it's actually really good for creativity to restrict yourself. And if you're learning, you probably don't want to spend ages trying to find a synth patch. Logic downstairs in my studio has no shit, like fucking 1,000,000 gigabytes of samples, right? This has 256 loops that I can load. That's how small it is. I actually haven't looked at the synth since I've been back in it because I'll do that on my other computer, but 256 samples is not that many to choose from. That is doable for just sketching out all your ideas and then take it into a studio and flesh it out later so that you don't lose your trajectory of where you're going like I so often do. But that's probably yet another video for another day as well. Blue is actually here for support, and also because you probably want some kind of instrument to record. Most people who produce are also instrumentalists. If you're the kind of person that's doing electronic, I probably can't help you as much, but you do still have the same basic tools. You probably might want to look into getting Ableton and one of those control box square things with all the button things. I'm not even sure what they're called because I don't use them, but they seem to be quite popular to trigger all your samples. So I think there is one that retails for about $100 in Australia. I think it could possibly be the Novation one. I'm not sure. I saw it at JB Hi-Fi and I was like, oh, a square thing. And that's about my entire experience with those kind of controllers. I do have one of these normal key controllers, which is very cool. So maybe if you're an electronic producer as well, you could invest in one of these. It's a 2-octave, I'm not going to lift it up. It's a 2-octave piano key controller, so that's really good for your synths. You can learn how to play it, or you can stack all the sounds as part of your recording. So you just cycle record, and instead of playing a chord if you don't know it, you just play one note at a time until you record whatever your loop is, which is very cool. But let's just keep talking about gear. I'm just going to have a sip of my cup of tea as well, so it doesn't get cold. And it's in this glorious mug that my best friend bought me. Nah, too late, it's really cold. So I did that video on cables. So obviously I feel like it's really important to invest in decent cables. I just had some delivered today actually, and this is one of them that you won't really be able to see, but it's a Planet Waves, one of those fabric covered really slinky kind of ones, which is really awesome. What else does a studio need? How did I start off? Oh, for my guitar I just had, I think they actually still make them. I had a Korg Pandora, which, if you're not aware, is basically, I don't know where my phone is actually, but it's pretty much an iPhone or like a smartphone sized unit, about yay big, and I think it had about 20 patches in it. I probably have more now, I only ever bought the first one, and I think from memory I might have even done the soundtrack to a film using the patches on that, because it's only been in the last couple of years that I've started to reinvest in my studio. I had a lot of stuff, I got rid of it because I had a ear injury, which still persists but isn't as bad. But I pretty much gave my studio away, and this is me rebuilding it. So I think when I made the feature documentary soundtrack, it was the Korg Pandora. I think I had some kind of Behringer DI, which actually was not as cheap as they are now. So a DI is a good thing to have, and I do have, no, I've moved that as well. I moved all my stuff so that I had a clean space here, but that was probably really stupid. So a DI is good just to clean your signal as it passes through, gets rid of a lot of hum, because you can use either ground or lift on the little toggle switch, which I like to do. Normally I do have the DI set up here, but because I'm just filming and not actually really recording, I moved it. Dope. What else? I would recommend as well having a small practice amp that you can mic up. I've got one of those Sennheiser's E609, or is it the 906? It's the cheap one. So that was about $100 and it just hangs over the cabinet. So then you don't have to buy the stand. So you're kind of saving money when you get that kind of microphone for your amp. But the reason I say get an amp is because sometimes you probably won't want to invest money in an amp sim, and fair enough, because if you're like me, you probably have the exact tone you want from your amp and then you can't replicate it in the amp sim anyway. You're also saving money by only having one or the other. So get one or the other. I like to have the amp because it just makes practice a lot easier, although I live in a house on a main road and not in an apartment, so it's already noisy and people can't really complain about this small amount of guitar practice noise when there's trucks that hoon down the hill to the lights and slam on their air brakes. So that's just me. You might want the amp sim instead, which you can just wait until all of this shit goes on sale. Like, don't go and buy expensive stuff, or make a list and give yourself alerts for when those places put them on sale. For e.g., these are, I think I highlighted these in another video. These are hard to read. The HD 200 Pro Sennheiser monitoring headphone set. I don't really like these because this is kind of big for my head and then the cups are kind of small for my ears, but they are a really highly regarded set of headphones. They don't cost you too much, and they're, in terms of audio clarity and the fact that they're closed back, so noise reducing and the noise doesn't spill out, these are probably what you want to invest in for your studio to start out with, or something similar, maybe something that actually fits your head properly. Might be a little bit better. Who would know? Who would want comfort? But I've kept them because the sound clarity is really good and they're good for tracking. They just, I don't know, like I have to jam my ears into them, like that kind of deal. And I don't even have big ears. Oh no, maybe I do have big ears. I don't know. Do I have big ears? Maybe maybe my ears are just big. But I have to kind of like cram them in like a little cauliflower, so it's not really the most comfortable kind of headphone. The Sennheiser 202, I think it's up to Mark II. That's a bit better if you've got big Dumbo ears, like I obviously have just realised that I have. Ah well, all the better to hear you with, my child. What else is in my studio? See, this is what happens, you guys, when I don't have a script. I'm like, what am I doing? So I do prefer to have a script, but like, let's just go with it for the moment while I'm just creating a bit of content to schedule so that you guys also have something to do, because I think a few of you are still in lockdown, if I'm not mistaken, so that sucks for you, and I hope you get out soon. But also, it's better to be safe and not like me in the firing line with my retail job with people coughing and sneezing all over me. That's always fun as well. But don't let me digress too much. I think maybe one of the other main things that I would have in my studio if I was starting again from scratch is I would probably, in terms of my instruments, I kind of started off with just like my Ibanez RX240, which is a really entry level guitar from the 90s. I would probably just have my guitar set up by a luthier properly, because I didn't really even know anything about that until I want to say 2014, when I did that film that I was talking about, and I wanted this really specific guitar sound that I couldn't get. I built a kit guitar with these just real shitty pickups, and I built this really shit guitar pedal. Everything was just shit, but it gave me the exact sound that I wanted. So that's a little bit of a digression from the luthier thing, but when I created that guitar from the kit, I didn't build it per se, that was when I realised that setting shit up was a thing, because it came with instructions of how to adjust the action and adjust the intonation and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't even know what that is, and I've been playing guitar since 1994. Like, what is this new knowledge that you're telling me about on this little paper insert in my guitar kit? What are you? What is this? So I think that would be my final thing that I would invest in if I was doing my studio all over again. It's good, but it's gross. Like, it's just that lukewarm tea, so it has the nice... I love cups of tea, but yeah, no. Oh, we should probably, if you're a singer, address very quickly some vocal microphones and maybe a preamp. I have had for ages, actually. I've got the little square Behringer preamp right here, actually. So I've got this, and it's a tube preamp. You can swap out the tubes. The tube's just under here. You can put whatever tube in here you want. This is the version that has the EQ that, I don't know if this actually works. I think sometimes it just makes it a little bit muddier. But you can get the one without that, and you can do your own EQ. But this is really cool. I would get one of those. And in terms of microphones, you probably want a condenser, but that will also warm up a dynamic microphone really nicely. So if you can only get like, maybe not an SM58 or an SM48, but just some kind of ice cream cone looking dynamic mic of your choice, you don't necessarily need, my bird's going off, the Shure microphones, because there is some microphones that are unbelievably better than those ones are, and probably will suit your needs a little bit more. I think I'm a bit obsessed with Sennheiser, because I have a Sennheiser dynamic microphone. I'm not sure of the product code on that one, but for my voice, that makes me sound like I have a bit more clarity when I sing than when I use an SM48, which is the round ice cream basket. I call it an ice cream cone. It looks like an ice cream cone, okay? It's an ice cream cone. So it's all about matching the microphones. Again, a video for another time, but we're just kind of going through gear that you can consider getting. And you can run those through the preamps as well. Just warm it up a little bit if you think you need it, or, you know, get the one with the little dial on it, which actually the new version of that doubles as a sound card. So you could kill two birds with one stone in that transaction, and that's not going to cost you too much. This is about $200 and something in Australia. That's obsolete, so I don't know what the new version even looks like. Probably around about the same. Tascam is a really good brand that I would highly recommend in terms of audio. Really long-lived brand as well. Used to be TIAC. So go for something like that. And in terms of cables, always get the one that you can afford, that is the most expensive one for your budget, not the cheapest one for your budget. So I actually have, probably a bit too far to reach, I've got some custom made cables from this place in Melbourne that literally all they do is they make custom made cables with the most expensive components available, and it's also orange. So why wouldn't I buy that? Because I love orange, it's my favourite colour. And that's going to fire up. Yes, thank you. Get a hard drive as well, an external hard drive, because when you record, you don't want to clog up your computer's memory. You want it to record to an external drive, the fastest one that you can get, preferably not a portable one because they spin a little bit slower. So get yourself a plugged in hard drive, the dearest one and the biggest one that you can afford. So 4 gigs I think is only about $100 here now. There's really no excuse to say that you can't get an external drive. It'll save your life in terms of backing up your stuff as well. because I've lost track of how much I've lost by having it on the computer's internal hard drive. That's your little list right there. It's long, boring, me being very verbose, but hopefully that will assist you and give you a little bit of inspiration, or maybe you've forgotten something from that list and you're like, need that for my studio. Or if you're a beginner, maybe that will set you in the right track as well. So you're on the right track rather. And what I would do when I have a little bit of a better setup is I will actually show you all of these things as well. But this is just me having a little bit of a chit chat because Blue told me to. Blame Blue. We'll see you soon.